Imagine this: you're lying on a cold operating table. The beeping of machines a faint backdrop to the haze of fear in your mind. Your biggest fear, death, looms over you like a shadow. The anesthesia takes hold, and within seconds, everything should go black. But for Nancy Ryan, that wasn't the case. Instead of darkness, she found herself on a vibrant, rolling hillside, bathed in an indescribable peace and love that seemed to embrace her entire being. In that moment, Nancy, an avowed atheist and rational scientist, knew her life was about to change forever. What would you do if, in the middle of the most terrifying experience of your life, you were shown a completely different version of reality? A version that defied everything you thought you knew? For Nancy, her near-death experience, NDE, was the ultimate wake-up call, pulling her out of a life steeped in skepticism and materialism and into a journey of profound spiritual transformation. But let's rewind for a moment, because Nancy wasn't just anyone. She was a no-nonsense, sharp-minded scientist who had spent decades building her life around logic, facts, and the tangible world. Raised in a deeply Catholic household, she abandoned faith in her teenage years when the cracks in organized religion became too glaring to ignore. By the time she reached her mid-20s, Nancy was a proud atheist, firmly grounded in science and reason. God, heaven, and the afterlife, to her, they were nothing more than comforting myths. Then came the accident. One cold winter morning, a routine bike ride turned into a nightmare when an inattentive driver hit Nancy head-on. The crash was brutal. She was dragged beneath the vehicle, her body battered and broken. The injuries were catastrophic: multiple fractures, collapsed lung, and severe damage to her spine. By the time she reached the hospital, Nancy's survival seemed uncertain. But what truly shook her wasn't the physical pain or the gravity of her injuries. It was what happened during surgery, a moment that would shatter her understanding of life, death, and reality itself. Nancy didn't just hover above her body, like you might hear in other NDE stories. She was transported to a place so beautiful, so overwhelming in its love and peace, that it felt more real than anything she had ever experienced on Earth. She wasn't alone, either. An ethereal presence welcomed her with words that would echo in her mind forever. "Welcome home. You are part of us." Can you imagine what that would feel like? For someone who had built her entire identity around the certainty that there was nothing after death, this moment was like stepping into a dream she didn't even believe was possible, and yet felt unmistakably real. Nancy describes the sensation as being hugged by the universe itself, a warmth that permeated every fiber of her being. All the fear, doubt, and pain melted away, replaced by a profound sense of belonging. For the first time in her life, she felt truly alive. But this wasn't just a feel-good story of floating through a meadow. Nancy's experience came with lessons, powerful, sometimes uncomfortable truths about life and its purpose. She was shown that the life she had been living wasn't just temporary. It was an illusion. The material world, she realized, was a stage, and her role in it was far more significant than she had ever imagined. In that otherworldly realm, she saw a map of her life, every choice, every path she could have taken, and the ripple effects of those decisions. It wasn't about judgment or punishment. It was about learning, growth, and connection. One of the most profound moments of Nancy's NDE was her life review, where she relived key events from both her perspective and the perspectives of others. She felt the joy she had brought to people, but also the pain she had caused, sometimes unknowingly. It was a humbling, eye-opening experience that left her determined to return to life with a renewed sense of purpose. Yes, you read that right. Nancy was told she had to go back, despite the overwhelming peace and love of the realm she was in. Her journey wasn't over. Her purpose on Earth wasn't complete, and she had more to learn, more to give. First, she resisted. Who wouldn't? But eventually, she accepted her mission, carrying with her a newfound understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. When Nancy woke up in the hospital, her body was still broken, but her spirit was stronger than ever. Her recovery was nothing short of miraculous. Weeks instead of months, and she emerged from the experience with a clarity and peace that she had never known. She began to meditate daily, express gratitude for even the smallest blessings, and live with an awareness that every action, every word, carried the potential to impact others in ways she couldn't always see. So why does this story matter to you? Because Nancy's journey isn't just about her. It's about all of us. Her experience is a powerful reminder that life is so much more than the sum of its parts. It's a call to wake up, to step out of autopilot, and to embrace the incredible depth and beauty of existence. Whether you're deeply spiritual, staunchly atheist, or somewhere in between, her story offers something universal: hope. Hope that there's more to this life than meets the eye. Hope that even in our darkest moments, we are never truly alone. Nancy's NDE challenges us to reflect on our own lives. Are we living authentically? Are we making decisions from a place of love and intuition? Or are we letting fear and doubt guide us? Are we truly present in the moments that matter? Or are we letting them slip by unnoticed? These questions aren't just philosophical, they're practical. Because at the end of the day, Nancy's story isn't just about what happens after we die. It's about how we choose to live. As we dive deeper into her journey, let her experience inspire you to see life with fresh eyes. Open your heart to the possibility that there's more to this world than what you can see, touch, or measure. And above all, remember this: you are part of something much greater than yourself. So take a deep breath, let go of what holds you back, and step into the extraordinary adventure of being truly alive. As Nancy's story unfolds, we find ourselves drawn deeper into the questions that her near-death experience, NDE, raises. What is reality? What is the purpose of our existence? And how do we reconcile the spiritual with the material? These aren't just abstract musings. They are questions that touch the very core of what it means to be human. In the moments after her accident, as Nancy lay on the operating table, her fear of death was almost paralyzing. But as the anesthesia took hold, she was thrust into a realm that felt more vivid and alive than anything she had ever known. The first revelation that hit her was both comforting and disorienting. Life on Earth was an illusion. Nancy described it as if she had suddenly woken up from a dream. The struggles, fears, and achievements that had defined her existence on Earth were no longer the whole picture. Instead, they appeared as temporary experiences, a necessary part of a greater journey but not the ultimate reality. This realization wasn't meant to devalue life. Rather, it reframed it. Earthly life, she understood, was a stage for growth, a place where souls come to learn and evolve. This concept might sound esoteric, but consider how often we, too, get caught up in the illusions of life. We chase success, accumulate possessions, and stress over every little setback, forgetting the bigger picture. Nancy's story challenges us to see beyond these illusions and ask ourselves, what am I really here to learn? One of the most extraordinary parts of Nancy's NDE was when she was shown a map of her life. Imagine a sprawling, three-dimensional chart with countless pathways, each representing a choice she had made or could have made. As she stood at the center of this map, Nancy saw how every decision branched out into multiple possibilities. Yet all paths seemed to converge at the same destination. This vision taught her two profound lessons. First, there is no single right path in life. The choices we make, while significant, are not about achieving perfection but about experiencing, learning, and growing. Second, the center of her map, the compass guiding her, was located in her heart. It was a reminder that intuition, love, and inner wisdom are as important as logic and reason. For Nancy, who had spent much of her life relying solely on her analytical mind, this realization was groundbreaking. It encouraged her to embrace a more holistic approach to decision-making, one that balanced intellect with intuition. For us, it's a reminder to listen to that quiet voice within, the one that often knows what's best for us even when logic says otherwise. Another pivotal moment in Nancy's journey was her life review. Guided to a serene mountain pond, She was asked to touch its surface. As ripples spread outward, each wave revealed a moment from her life. But this wasn't just a slideshow of memories. Nancy relived these moments as if they were happening in real time, experiencing them not only from her perspective but also from the perspectives of others she had impacted. The joy she felt from moments of kindness was profound, whether it was a simple gesture, like comforting a friend, or a more significant act of generosity. But the pain she had caused others was equally vivid. She felt the hurt of a sister she had quarreled with as a teenager, the disappointment of a colleague she had dismissed, the sorrow of a friend she had unintentionally ignored. These weren't punishments, they were lessons, showing her the interconnectedness of all beings. This part of Nancy's story resonates deeply. How often do we pause to consider the ripple effects of our words and actions? Nancy's experience reminds us that even the smallest choices can leave lasting imprints on others, challenges us to be more mindful, to act with compassion, and to recognize the profound responsibility we have in shaping the lives of those around us. As Nancy continued her journey in the otherworldly realm, she encountered a being she referred to as her teacher. This presence, veiled in fog and light, radiated wisdom and patience. The teacher didn't lecture or dictate. Instead, she guided Nancy through her experiences, allowing her to draw her own conclusions. At one point, Nancy protested the idea of returning to Earth. She felt the peace and love of this realm so deeply that the thought of leaving it seemed unbearable. But her teacher revealed a truth that shifted Nancy's perspective. Before birth, Nancy had agreed to her life's challenges. She had chosen them as opportunities for growth. The pain, the struggles, the triumphs, they were all part of a plan she had co-created. This idea of pre-life planning might feel foreign or even uncomfortable, but it carries a powerful message. If we embrace the notion that our struggles have meaning, that they are opportunities to evolve rather than mere hardships to endure, it transforms the way we approach adversity. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we might begin to ask, "What can I learn from this?" Nancy's return to her physical body was anything but easy. Waking up in the hospital, she was filled with a profound sense of loss. The peace and love of the spiritual realm were gone, replaced by the harsh realities of pain and recovery. But she also carried with her a deep knowing, a new perspective that would shape the rest of her life. Her recovery was nothing short of miraculous. Doctors had predicted months of immobilization, but Nancy was out of her body cast in just weeks. She attributed this rapid healing not only to medical care but also to the practices she embraced during her recovery. Meditation, gratitude, and mindfulness. Each day, Nancy would step outside, even if only for a few moments, to connect with nature. She would marvel at the simple beauty of the world, the rustle of leaves, the warmth of sunlight, the song of birds. These moments became sacred rituals, grounding her in the present and reminding her of the interconnectedness she had experienced during her NDE. Nancy's transformation wasn't just about spiritual awakening. It was about practical, tangible changes in the way she lived her life. She began to approach every interaction with greater mindfulness, aware of the potential ripples her actions could create. She made decisions from a place of love and intuition, no longer paralyzed by fear or doubt. She also felt a newfound sense of purpose, whether through conversations, writing, or simple acts of kindness. Nancy became committed to sharing the lessons she had learned. Her story wasn't just hers, it was a beacon for others, a reminder that life is both fleeting and infinitely precious. As Nancy settled into the profound lessons of her near-death experience, NDE, she began to realize just how much her perspective on life had shifted. What she thought she knew about the world, about reality, purpose, and connection was turned on its head. The logical framework she had lived by for decades seemed suddenly incomplete. Instead, a deeper truth emerged, one that wasn't about facts or evidence, but about energy, intuition, and the profound interconnectedness of all things. Nancy's teacher, the being she met in the fog, repeatedly emphasized the importance of intuition. This wasn't the vague, mystical concept she had once dismissed as pseudoscience. It was a deeply practical and accessible tool. Intuition, as Nancy learned, is the voice of the soul, an inner compass that guides us when we quiet the noise of fear, doubt, and external expectations. During her ND, Nancy saw how often she had ignored her intuition in favor of cold logic. While her rational mind had served her well in her career, it often led her to make decisions that left her feeling disconnected and unfulfilled. Her teacher showed her moments in her life where she had felt a gut instinct to act one way but chose another, usually out of fear or societal pressure. Each of these moments, she realized, had been opportunities to trust herself more deeply. This revelation was a turning point for Nancy. After her ND, she began to intentionally listen to her inner voice, allowing it to guide her in decisions both big and small. It wasn't always easy. Fear and doubt didn't vanish overnight, but the more she practiced, the more she realized how aligned and authentic her life became. For Nancy, and for all of us, intuition isn't just a feeling. It's a bridge to a higher level of awareness. One of the most mind-expanding lessons Nancy learned during her time in the other realm was that everything is energy. The physical world, she was told, is simply a manifestation of underlying energetic structures. The people we meet, the events we experience, even the thoughts we have, all are connected through a web of energy that transcends time and space. This idea wasn't entirely new to Nancy, after all. Physics teaches us that matter is simply energy in a condensed form. But in the spiritual realm, she experienced this truth viscerally. She could feel the connections between herself and everything around her, as if her very essence was woven into the fabric of the universe. It was no longer an abstract concept. It was reality. This understanding had profound implications for how Nancy viewed her relationships and her role in the world. She realized that every thought, word, and action sent ripples through this web of energy, influencing not just those around her but the entire system. It was both a humbling and empowering realization. If her smallest actions could impact the greater whole, then she had a responsibility to act with intention and love. For us, this lesson invites a shift in perspective. How often do we act without considering the energetic consequences of our choices? How often do we speak words that harm or help, without recognizing the lasting impact they might have? Nancy's story reminds us to live with greater awareness, to see ourselves as part of a larger whole, and to understand that even the smallest act of kindness can create ripples of transformation. One of the most striking revelations Nancy had during her NDE was the idea that life on Earth is a sacred classroom. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every triumph, these weren't random occurrences but carefully chosen lessons designed for growth. Her teacher explained that before birth, souls collaborate with higher beings to map out a life plan. This plan includes not just major milestones but also the challenges that will provide the greatest opportunities for learning. For Nancy, this was a radical departure from her previous worldview. As a scientist, she had always seen life as a series of random events governed by chance and probability. Now, she understood that even the most painful experiences in her life, her divorce, her career setbacks, and even the accident that brought her to the brink of death, had served a higher purpose. This realization didn't make life's difficulties any less painful, but it gave them meaning. Nancy no longer saw herself as a victim of circumstances. She saw herself as an active participant in a journey of growth. This perspective empowered her to face challenges with resilience and curiosity rather than despair. For all of us, this idea can be a game changer. When we view life's struggles as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to overcome, we can approach them with a sense of purpose and possibility. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Another key lesson from Nancy's NDE was the power of choice. On the map of her life, she saw countless pathways branching out from every decision she had ever made. Her teacher explained that while some choices might lead to easier or more fulfilling experiences, all paths ultimately lead to the same destination, the evolution of the soul. This realization was both freeing and daunting. It meant that there was no single right path, no predestined script she had to follow. At the same time, it meant that her choices carried immense weight, shaping not just her life but the lives of those around her. Nancy was reminded that choice is a gift, one that comes with great responsibility. Every moment presents an opportunity to choose love over fear, connection over isolation, and growth over stagnation. This wasn't about perfection or avoiding mistakes. It was about being intentional and mindful. For us, this lesson challenges the way we approach our own choices. How often do we act out of habit or fear, without considering the long-term impact? Nancy's story encourages us to pause, reflect, and make choices that align with our highest values and aspirations. When Nancy returned to her physical body, the pain and challenges of recovery were immense, but she carried with her one of the most powerful tools she had gained during her NDE: gratitude. In the spiritual realm, she had felt an overwhelming sense of appreciation for the beauty and interconnectedness of existence. Now, back on Earth, she made it a daily practice to cultivate that same sense of gratitude. First, it was simple things: the ability to take a step, the warmth of the sun on her face, the kindness of a nurse. But over time, her gratitude expanded to encompass even the difficulties in her life. She began to see every moment as a gift, an opportunity to grow and connect. This practice of gratitude transformed Nancy's recovery. Her focus shifted from what she had lost to what she still had, and this mindset accelerated her healing in ways that amazed her doctors. More importantly, it brought her a sense of peace and joy that she had never experienced before. For us, gratitude is one of the most accessible yet powerful tools for transformation. It doesn't require special skills or resources. It simply requires a shift in perspective. By focusing on what we have rather than what we lack, we can cultivate a sense of abundance and joy, even in the face of challenges. Nancy's near-death experience was not just a wake-up call for her. It's a wake-up call for all of us. Her journey challenges us to live with greater awareness, to embrace life's challenges as opportunities for growth, and to act with love and intention. It reminds us that we are not separate beings navigating a chaotic world. We are interconnected souls on a shared journey. Her story asks us to reflect on our own lives. Are we living authentically, guided by love and intuition? Are we mindful of the impact we have on others? And most importantly, are we open to the possibility that life is more than what we can see, touch, or measure? Nancy's transformation shows us that it's never too late to change, to grow, and to align with our highest purpose. The lessons she learned in the spiritual realm are not reserved for those who have had near-death experiences. They are available to all of us. Here and now, all it takes is a willingness to listen, to reflect, and to act. Nancy's journey took a profound turn when her teacher guided her to a mountain pond for what would become the most humbling and eye-opening experience of her NDE. Her life review. This wasn't just a passive trip down memory lane. It was an immersive, all-encompassing re-experience of the most pivotal moments in her life. Every word she had spoken, every action she had taken, rippled outward like waves in the water. And now, she was being asked to see those ripples from the perspective of others. As Nancy knelt beside the serene pond, the surface seemed to transform into a living tapestry of her life. Each ripple carried a memory, a scene she could step into as though it were happening in real time. She didn't just see these moments, she felt them, not only from her perspective but also from the perspectives of the people she had interacted with. First, Nancy relived moments of kindness, times when she had gone out of her way to help a friend or comfort a loved one. The warmth and gratitude radiating from these memories were indescribable, filling her with a sense of joy and fulfillment she had never fully appreciated at the time. But then came the harder lessons, moments of anger, impatience, or neglect. In one particularly vivid memory, she saw herself as a teenager, fighting with her younger sister. She felt the sting of her own sharp words. But more than that, she felt her sister's pain, the hurt, the confusion, the sadness. The experience was gut-wrenching. "I didn't know," Nancy found herself saying over and over again. "I didn't realize." But this wasn't about guilt or punishment. It was about learning, about understanding the profound interconnectedness of all beings and the responsibility that comes with it. Every action, no matter how small, carried weight. Every word had the power to uplift or wound. And Nancy began to see how her life, every choice, every interaction was part of a much larger tapestry, woven together with the lives of others. For us, the lesson is clear: our actions matter. The way we treat others, even in the smallest moments, can leave a lasting impact. Nancy's life review challenges us to pause and reflect on our own interactions. Are we lifting others up? Or are we leaving behind ripples of pain and regret? And more importantly, how can we live more consciously, more compassionately, so that the ripples we create are ones of love and kindness? One of the most unexpected lessons Nancy learned during her NDE was the power of forgiveness. Not just forgiving others, but also forgiving herself. As she navigated her life review, she was confronted with moments she deeply regretted. Times when she had acted out of fear, anger, or selfishness, but her teacher's presence remained calm and reassuring, encouraging her to see these moments not as failures but as opportunities for growth. Nancy realized that much of the pain she had carried in her life came from holding on to resentment toward others, yes, but also toward herself. She had spent years beating herself up for mistakes, for missed opportunities, for not living up to her own expectations. But now, in this space of unconditional love, she saw herself as the universe saw her, imperfect but worthy, flawed but loved. It was a transformative moment. Her teacher explained that forgiveness isn't about excusing harmful behavior or pretending pain didn't happen. It's about releasing the burden of anger and guilt, freeing ourselves to move forward with an open heart. Nancy learned to forgive those who had hurt her, understanding that they, too, were on their own journeys, making mistakes and learning as they went. And she learned to forgive herself, recognizing that every misstep had been a part of her growth. This lesson of forgiveness resonates deeply. How often do we carry the weight of old wounds, replaying them in our minds and letting them shape our present? How often do we judge ourselves harshly, clinging to guilt that no longer serves us? Nancy's story invites us to let go, to release the chains of resentment and self-criticism, and to embrace the freedom that comes with forgiveness. As Nancy's time in the spiritual realm continued, her teacher revealed one of the most profound truths of all. Nancy's life had a purpose, and not just hers. Every life has a purpose, a unique role to play in the grand tapestry of existence. This wasn't about grand achievements or worldly success. It was about the impact she could have on others, the lessons she could learn, and the love she could share. Nancy's teacher showed her glimpses of her soul's pre-birth planning session, a concept that felt both surreal and deeply familiar. She saw how she had chosen her challenges, her struggles with faith, her divorce, even the accident that had brought her to this moment. These weren't punishments or random misfortunes. They were opportunities for growth, carefully chosen to help her evolve as a soul. At first, Nancy resisted this idea. How could she have chosen such pain? But as she looked closer, she began to see the beauty in it. Every challenge had shaped her, pushed her to grow in ways she never would have otherwise. Every hardship had brought her closer to the lessons she was here to learn. Compassion, resilience, forgiveness, and love. For us, this lesson is both comforting and challenging. It asks us to reframe the way we see our struggles, to view them not as obstacles but as opportunities. It invites us to ask, what is this experience teaching me? How can I grow from this? And it reminds us that even in our darkest moments, we are not alone. We are part of something much greater, a journey that transcends this lifetime. When Nancy returned to her body, she brought back not just memories of the spiritual realm, but also a profound shift in the way she lived her daily life. One of the most powerful lessons she carried with her was the importance of presence, of fully inhabiting each moment. rather than rushing through life on autopilot. Before her ND, Nancy had often felt disconnected, going through the motions of her daily routines without really being present. But now, she saw every moment as a gift, whether it was sipping a cup of coffee, watching the sunrise, or simply breathing. She found joy and gratitude in the smallest things. Nancy's practice of presence wasn't just about appreciating life's beauty. It was also about being mindful of her actions and their impact. She began to approach every interaction with intention, aware of the ripples she was creating in the lives of others. She listened more deeply, spoke more kindly, and chose her words and actions with care. For us, the practice of presence can be transformative. How often do we rush through our days, distracted by the past or the future, missing the beauty of the present moment? How often do we react on impulse, without pausing to consider the impact of our words and actions? Nancy's story reminds us to slow down, to breathe, and to fully embrace the here and now. Above all, Nancy's ND taught her that love is the essence of everything. The love she felt in the spiritual realm was not conditional or transactional. It was infinite, all-encompassing, and unconditional. It was a reminder that, at our core, we are all expressions of that same love, connected by a shared essence that transcends our differences. This love wasn't just a feeling, it was an energy, a force that flowed through everything and everyone. And Nancy realized that the greatest purpose of life is to embody that love, to bring it into every interaction and every moment, whether through a kind word, a gentle touch, or a simple act of generosity. We have the power to share love in ways that transform not only our own lives but also the lives of those around us. Nancy's journey challenges us to do the same. How can we bring more love into our lives? How can we choose love over fear, connection over division, and compassion over judgment? Her story reminds us that love isn't just a concept. It's a way of being, a choice we make every day. Nancy's near-death experience was more than just a glimpse into another realm. It was a masterclass in living with intention, compassion, and purpose. Her lessons are universal, reminding us to embrace life's challenges, act with kindness, and live each moment to its fullest. Her story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of love, offering a beacon of hope and inspiration for us all. As Nancy's story draws to a close, we're left with a question that lingers in our hearts. What will we do with the time we have? Her near-death experience wasn't just a wake-up call for her. It's a mirror held up to each of us, reflecting the way we live, love, and connect. Through her journey, Nancy discovered that life is not a random series of events but a sacred tapestry woven with intention, choice, and purpose. And now, her story challenges us to step forward with new eyes and an open heart. Nancy's experience reminds us that life isn't just about survival. It's about truly living. Too often, we get caught up in the hustle, rushing from one task to the next, focusing on what's missing or what's wrong. But Nancy's journey invites us to pause and ask ourselves, what really matters? Every choice we make is an opportunity to live with intention. Whether it's a kind word to a stranger, a moment of gratitude for the beauty around us, or a decision to follow our intuition instead of our fears. These small, mindful acts create ripples that shape not only our lives but the lives of those we touch. Nancy's story challenges us to think beyond ourselves, to embrace the interconnectedness of all things, and to realize that our purpose isn't something we find, it's something we create. At the heart of Nancy's transformation is the lesson that love is the most powerful force in the universe. It's not just an emotion, it's a way of being, whether through forgiveness, kindness, or simply being present for someone in need. Love has the power to heal wounds, bridge divides, and create a sense of connection that transcends the ordinary. Nancy's story reminds us that love isn't reserved for grand gestures or extraordinary moments. It's in the everyday acts of care and consideration, taking the time to listen, offering encouragement, or choosing understanding over judgment. These moments may seem small, but their impact can be profound. They are the threads that weave the fabric of a meaningful life. And what about the love we show ourselves? Nancy's journey teaches us that self-compassion is just as important. Forgiving ourselves for our mistakes, treating ourselves with kindness, and allowing ourselves the grace to grow are acts of love that ripple outward, empowering us to share that same love with others. Life is never without its struggles, and Nancy's story doesn't shy away from that truth. Her accident, recovery, and spiritual awakening were not easy experiences, but they were transformative. She learned that challenges are not obstacles to be feared but opportunities to grow, to learn, and to become more resilient. What if we, too, could reframe our struggles as stepping stones? What if we saw every hardship as a chance to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us? Nancy's journey reminds us that even in our darkest moments, there is light to be found, and sometimes, it's through facing those moments head-on that we discover our greatest strengths. Perhaps the most practical lesson Nancy offers is the power of gratitude. After her near-death experience, she found joy in the smallest details: the sound of birdsong, the warmth of sunlight, the simple act of taking a breath. These moments, which once passed unnoticed, became sacred reminders of the beauty and fragility of life. Gratitude isn't about ignoring life's challenges. It's about shifting our focus to what we have instead of what we lack. It's about recognizing that even in the midst of pain, there is something to be thankful for. By cultivating gratitude, we can transform the way we experience life, finding joy and meaning in even the most ordinary moments. As you sit with Nancy's story, take a moment to reflect on your own life. What are you grateful for today? What small blessings might you have overlooked? Let Nancy's journey inspire you to approach each day with a sense of wonder and appreciation. Nancy's story is more than just an account of a near-death experience. It's a call to action. It's a reminder that we don't have to wait for a life-altering event to start living with purpose, love, and gratitude. We can choose to begin right now, in this very moment. What will you do differently after hearing her story? Will you take a step toward forgiveness, letting go of resentment or guilt that no longer serves you? Will you start listening to your intuition, trusting that inner voice that knows what's best for you? Will you commit to being more present, more mindful, more connected to the people and the world around you? The beauty of Nancy's journey is that it doesn't end with her. The lessons she learned are universal, accessible to anyone who's willing to listen and reflect. Her story invites us to wake up, to see life not as a series of random events but as a sacred opportunity to grow, to love, and to make a difference. As we wrap up Nancy's incredible journey, I want to speak directly to you, our dear listeners and viewers. Each of you is part of this shared experience, this collective story we call life. Your presence here means you are seeking something, maybe inspiration, maybe understanding, maybe hope. Whatever brought you here, I hope Nancy's story has touched your heart as deeply as it has touched mine. Remember, you are not alone. You are connected to something greater, something that transcends the boundaries of time, space, and even life itself. And within you lies the power to create ripples of love, kindness, and transformation that can echo far beyond what you can imagine. So, as you go about your day, take a moment to breathe deeply. Look around and find one thing, just one, that fills you with gratitude. Let that gratitude guide your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And know that by doing so, you are living the lessons Nancy so beautifully shared with us. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Your time, your energy, and your openness mean the world. If Nancy's story resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone who might need a little hope, a little inspiration, or a little reminder of the beauty of life. Together, we can create ripples of change that reach far and wide. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Live with love, act with intention, and remember, every moment is a gift. Cherish it. Wishing you peace, joy, and gratitude in all that you do. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.